Hey maker, if you want to learn how to make your product float or levitate like this video is for you. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Christina Nicole, and I'm a product photography coach teaching makers like you how to take your own high quality product photos that actually attract more customers and make more sales for your product-based business. In this video, I'm going to show you how to edit this product photo. In this photo, I used a pair of pliers to hold up the lip gloss cap. Now, to make this cap look like it's floating or levitating, we need to edit out the pliers. To do that, you will have to use a software like Adobe products or Affinity Photo that has a pro feature called the clone stamp tool. Now with Adobe products such as Lightroom Mobile, Photoshop Elements, Photoshop CC or Pro, it is called the clone stamp tool. With Affinity Photo 2, whether you're using Affinity on your Mac, your PC, or on your iPad, the tool is actually called the clone brush tool. So even if you aren't using the software that I am going to show you in this video, think about the concepts that I'm using and adapt it to the software that you have. For the sake of this video, I will be using Photoshop Elements 2023. I am in expert mode, and I want to make sure that I have my layers turned on. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate the background layer. What this does, it allows me to keep an original copy of my photo so that if I want to turn off any of my edits, I have it there, or I can delete the edits. Just makes it easy peasy. We'll turn off that original layer since we won't be editing on that. So we're going to select our background copy and make our edits there. So to make this product look like it's floating, what we need to do is we need to remove my arm, hand, and the pliers that are currently in the photo. To do that, we're going to use what is called the clone stamp tool. Essentially what the clone stamp tool does, it allows us to choose a selection. So choose a portion of the photo that we then want to duplicate over this to essentially erase it. If I were to just click the screen, I'm going to have this pop up. I am currently using Photoshop Elements 2023 on a Mac. So if you're on a PC, this will look slightly different. So for me to create a selection, I have to hold the option button and then click on a Mac. Now, a quick tip, you can go down here and you can adjust the type of brush you're using. Typically, when we're using a clone stamp tool, we want to use a soft brush because it avoids us creating hard lines. This here says a hard round. I'm going to show you. I'm going to hold option, make a selection. And we're going to increase the actual size of the brush so we can see what's going to happen here. But if I click or I rub, you can actually see the circles of where I cloned. We don't want that. We want it to be nice and seamless. So we need a soft brush. Undo those edits. We're going to choose a soft round that allows us to create more of a seamless look. Hold the option button, make a selection. And so you'll notice now that it's just a little more soft. Recreating selections. I messed up over here. Pulled some of that in. Now, currently, I am just looking at the photo regular. In a second, we're going to zoom in when we start to get closer on some of these details. Make my brush a little larger. Now, when you're doing like a big space like this, you want to have a bigger brush. That again will help make it look a little more kind of seamless and not as choppy. Okay, so that looks excellent. So now we're going to go, we're going to zoom in. Closer in on the top of the cap here. We can really focus on this portion. We're going to go back to our clone stamp tool. And now I'm going to have to decrease my brush significantly. so that we can get in nice and close. Probably go a little bigger for this top portion. Now here, because we're going to be looking at kind of a line, I want to stay very level as I go to fill these in. If you're just doing clicks, you can do clicks or you can do brush and hold down the mouse. You just want to make sure you're completely covering the entire product, okay? Now let's go in and make this line nice and neat. Make sure our curvature looks good. Everything's in proportion. So what I'm going to do is make a selection on the actual edge here. Option click. And we're going to kind of just gently and slowly pull it in until we get about to the middle. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to select that portion. I'm going to click once, and I'm actually going to reselect because you see that we're pulling this shadow or this highlight with us right here. We're kind of pulling that with us a little bit. So I'm going to remake my selection. Okay, and right now, do you see how I did that? It pulled like that highlight and it looks kind of repetitive. We don't want that, okay? So I'm going to undo those. Let's grab from here, pull some of that pink in because I don't want, I think that's what part of our problem was. I want to pull from like right here, but there was black there before. Now, see if I were to click there, that's going to look funky. We want to make sure our line, that we're kind of staying with our line here as we move into this side. Okay, we'll start with that there. Now we're going to grab, now you'll notice there's a little bit of a shadow around the pliers. What we want to be careful with is we want to make sure we're pulling from similar tones, similar colors. So if I were to grab like right here and start removing this, it's going to look like a darker purple. So let's pull from over here. And we want to also cover that shadow, but now I accidentally went into that area. So I'm going to pull from down here. I'm going to cover that up a little. And we got to be careful not to get any spread there. So sometimes it'll help to zoom in a little bit more. Sometimes it'll help to make your brush size a little smaller. Just depends. So just get in here and play. Make our brush size a little smaller too. See how you can see the difference in the shadows now? Much better. We'll clean that up even more. With this, we want to pull the reflection all the way up so it looks more realistic. So I'm going to just put my line on that reflection. I'm going to go straight up. And again, multiple taps unless you... Now, keep in mind, if you hold the mouse down and you keep going, eventually you're going to run into what was already there. So sometimes, like when we get to this point here, we're going to have to re-tap. So it picks up the new point that we covered up. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then we're going to do the kind of the same thing here. We're going to grab down here. And we're going to keep that lined up. And just click our way up. And we'll pull a little bit from here. Get rid of some of that darkness there. Now I'm going to back out and just see what's going on. So you see we have we can see where we've pulled and the coloring's a little different, okay? Right? We don't want that. So now that I'm zoomed out a little bit more, I'm going to hit the clone stamp tool again. I'm going to increase the size of my brush. And we're going to create a new selection. And I'm going to make this a little less like apparent that that's what we did. Make it a little more seamless looking. But we've got to be careful not to get some spread there. So I'm going to zoom back in to the top of that cap because we got a little purple overspray there. Back to my clone. I make my brush a little smaller. Again, just kind of drag. Oops, see, I pulled from that. I didn't unclick my mouse. And we'll grab up here and just make sure we're getting rid of that. That purple overspray there. So just get in here, play with it, have fun with it. It's a lot of fun to, play with the tool. All you have to do is undo it if you don't like it. Still not liking that spot right there. Let's see. Zoom in, zoom out, try different brush sizes, try different textures. It's really helpful to get in here and just play. Also keep in mind when you're utilizing certain tools, I like that a little bit better. I think I wanted a little peek of that highlight there from the reflection. When you are utilizing this floating or levitating concept, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. In this photo specifically, I used pliers. I also tried to use tongs and my fingers, but what that did is it actually grabbed the product on this side the way I chose to hold it. And recreating these curvatures here are a little more challenging because you really have to zoom in, get really small with your brush. It just makes it harder. So when you do floating stuff, you can use skewers. You could also use one of my favorite products, especially for smaller type products that you can actually clamp. They're called helping hands. I'll link them in the description below. But always keep in mind the simplicity in being able to replicate another portion of the photo to make your edit seamless. Let's zoom back out and see our final result. Voila! The clone stamp tool is a lot of fun because it allows us the opportunity to be a little more creative with our product photography. Please take the time to like this video if you found it useful, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to learn more about taking your own high quality product photos. See you next time.